What's up, everybody? This is Frank Segura. I have my co-hosts with me, Joseph and Ryan, and we have a baseball episode for you today. We're going to be covering the Mets and Yankees and the disaster that happened during that game, and we're going to be running through the trade deadline. Stay tuned. All right, guys, and we're back. How's it going, Ryan?
Pretty good, Frank. It's September 1st. This summer flew by. I can't believe it. It's pumpkin spice season already. The Ugg boots for the ladies. Bring out all the fall stuff. I see you have some fall stuff in the background,
That's
too.
right.
So.
I'm getting ready for the fall. I'm over this summer. What about you, Joey?
Starting to get geared back up for school starting. Gonna have all my students back in the classroom, hopefully, and looking to another fun-filled school year.
Good, and I see that we got your microphone all fixed up now. So
yeah, finally.
Hopefully
you sound good. You sound pretty, Joey.
Hopefully the internet stays connected this episode. So.
Yeah, hopefully not too much catastrophic failures happen. So.
Yeah, let's keep our fingers crossed. All right, so let's rip off the Band-Aid. Let's get into it. I mean, I'm going to be the punching bag, but let's talk about Mets and Yankees. You know, I had a bet with a coworker last week. I asked him, you know, he thought the Yankees were going to get beat up because of all the injuries that they had. So we were going to do like a little stupid $10 bet. And then going into the weekend, he goes, you know what? I'm dropping it down to 5. I said, okay, all right. He did it before the game started, right? So Mets won the first 2 games. I'm sitting pretty. I'm like, this is going to be the easiest $5 that I made. And Lord and behold, the Mets do what the Mets do best, and they shit the bed. So, Ryan, what are your thoughts on the this weekend's games?
It was a pretty good series. I mean, there were a lot of mental, a lot of physical errors from both teams. I mean, clearly, the pitching error, which caused the third game, I think it was Betances, right? Then he blew the save and threw it over the catcher's head and run scores. So I mean, all together there was some mental, some physical errors, but good series. All the double headers, you know, that are supposed to be the 7-inning games went into extra innings. So I mean, kind of these 7-inning games really even worth it? Should they have done away with that altogether and just done, you know, regular 9-inning games? I mean, I don't know. It's still up for debate. I mean, I thought that was a good idea going into the season, just, you know, speed up the games. But I mean, if these shorter games are going into extra innings, I don't know.
Yeah, you're almost getting 9 innings out of it anyways, right?
Yeah, you're still getting what you paid for, essentially. You're not getting the bonus baseball, but
the first doubleheader game with the Mets and Yankees did not go past the seventh, but I guess it was good. I mean,
Sunday. The Sunday games went into extra innings.
Yeah, the Sunday game went into extra innings, but I guess it's good. I mean, if you look at the game on Sunday, you had the doubleheader. They had the next day, then you had a doubleheader on Sunday. Was it? I think it was a doubleheader on Sunday.
Yeah, doubles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
you
can also look at it though. I mean, based on like, you know, our podcast, you know, prior. I mean, a lot of the predictions were that it was just going to be a clean sweep from the Yankees, and look what ended up happening. We had the
internet's going in and out. So say that again,
series.
Joe. Internet's a little sketchy.
Oh, sorry about that. All right, sorry. So, I mean, you know, it's going back to the prior podcast that we had where the predictions were a clean sweep from the Yankees, and that ended up not being the case where you had the Mets walking away with the first 2 games of the series. So, I mean, you know, that was, I guess, you know, that was good for your Metsies over there. But, I mean,
no, it wasn't because it gave us false hope.
I mean, that's kind of every spring training for you guys.
So give me a second. Let's go back to the 7th inning thing because that's pretty interesting, right? This is a whole debate on do we like the 7th inning or do we not like 7-inning double headers. So the reason why they put the 7-inning rule into place was for the exact reason what happened on Sunday, right? So Sunday, both teams were very scarce on pitching because you can't have pitchers go back-to-back like that going crazy. I mean, in the matter of 3 days, these pitchers are pitching 5 games in 3 days. So, I mean, obviously you can't go more than 3 times, but some of these pitchers were going 3 days in a row. So this it was very scarce. If it went past the 7th inning on that last game with the Yankees and Mets, you would have been seeing infielders or outfielders or a bench player pitching a game. So I believe that's why they did the 7th inning. If they did not, then you definitely would have had no pitchers.
Mhm.
So
Right,
I mean, that being said, what are your thoughts on that, Joseph?
For me, I mean, it makes sense because I mean, what you usually end up having, 4 or 5 days rest with your pitchers, and it's a better way to end up conserving your starters. You're not burning them out as quick. It's a trade-off, basically. I mean, it's less innings, but it's a shorter span of time for your pitchers to get their rest. So
Yeah.
it's a double.
Would you think that the starters would get more innings essentially? Like they would maybe go like 5-6 innings, and then you have just your closer. I mean,
But with the pitchers
that
struggling the way that both teams are,
right.
it's the problem. So let's do a recap. Mets win the first 2 games on that Friday.
Mhm.
I believe they won the second game of the doubleheader in dramatic fashion with a walk-off home run by Rosario. And it's crazy because it was a walk-off home run in Yankee Stadium. So me as a Mets fan, that was pretty sweet. But, like I said, it was a teaser because the Mets shit the bed the next 3 games. So Saturday comes, pretty close game, very good game. Mets blow it. You have Betances, you have Brad Brock, and it just looks like none of these relief pitchers other than Lugo, now that they switched Lugo over to the starting role, it just looks like none of these relievers are going to do the Mets. They're not in there for the long haul. I don't think so. I mean, I don't think they could turn it around. If you've been pitching 30 games already, we're halfway through the season. Like I said before this whole season started, I said this is one of these key aspects of the Mets that they need to have fixed, and they have not done that this far. And I'm off the bandwagon. I think the Mets are not going to even make the playoffs. I think they suck. So, let's just wrap up this series because, frankly, I don't want to talk about it anymore.
It was nice that the Yankees got the win for the series, but like I said, it was sloppy all around. I mean, kind of with the Yankees winning this series, but then going into the Tampa Bay series, they just look like garbage.
Yeah,
it's not.
However, I thought it was good that the Yankees got LeMahieu back. I believe Happ was pitching for the first time in a while, right? And Happ looked good. I thought Montgomery looked great when he was pitching that game with the Mets, and then I believe it was the 5th inning that the Mets started to touch him up, or he was getting in trouble. They pulled him out, and then it was Green, right? Green gave up the 3 home runs back to back. But I thought Montgomery pitched a very good game. It was a shame that his day ended the way it did, but you can start to see the Yankees are going to start to turn a little bit now that more people are getting healthy. And Duhar is kind of a disappointment, I think, this year. I think you guys would agree, right?
I think so. Yeah, he performed a lot better last year, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember his exact stats.
The year before.
The year before, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, when he almost won the Rookie of the Year.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm honestly surprised. I mean, especially regarding the trade deadline, that he was an option for Cashman to try to make a big splash towards the end of the deadline.
Yeah, well, we'll get into the trade deadline in a little bit later.
I want to mention real quick a few honorable mentions over here. So as far as Gary Sanchez, hitting that grand slam at the end of Sunday's game, I was looking at SNY and MLB.com, and that ended up actually being the first Yankees grand slam by a pinch hitter in going in extra innings in the entire history of the franchise. So hats off to Gary Sanchez for that. And then you also had the debut of Davey Garcia, versus the Mets. And he's the youngest pitcher in the MLB right now. And he ended up pitching 6 innings, ended up getting 6 strikeouts within 75 pitches. And for a young gun like that, I mean, that's, pretty hopeful future for him. And hopefully he makes a big splash for the Yankees later down the road.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
so Ryan touched up on it, and then after the Yankees versus Mets, the Yankees go into Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay does what Tampa Bay does against the Yankees. So, with that being said, why don't we start off with the results of each East, West, and Central? So, Joey, why don't you lead off with what's going on in the East?
Sure. So, I mean, I don't know if you have the slide to pull up.
I'm going to pull it up right now. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
I'll keep talking while I pull it up.
All right. Yeah. So, I mean, just to backtrack, talk about the Yankees and Rays. Um, the Yankees, they honestly just don't have an answer for the Rays right now. They've been getting shellacked almost every outing that they've been facing them, and so far as it stands, they have a 1-7 record against them. Cole, I mean, it wasn't his best outing yesterday. He was going against G-Man Choi. Obviously, Choi performed better, and then they had Glass now to close out the game. It's a very debilitating circumstance for the Yankees, and just trying to get back to full strength to try to clinch, that number one spot that, they're facing Tampa Bay for. But right now, it looks like Tampa Bay is running away with it, sitting on a 25-11, while the Yankees are sitting on 19-14. They really need those key guys back. Talking about Hicks, Judge, Stanton. Those guys are big difference makers. I mean, obviously having DJ LeMahieu has been a breath of fresh air and trying to bring some life and just some competition back into this team. But they need more than that right now, especially with the season closing. We're in September already. They need to kick into high gear, to be just to be frank.
Yeah, running out of games.
They're running
not too many games left.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so it's a 60-game season. Right now, the Yankees are 19-14, so they're over the hump already. So, they got less than 30 games to turn this thing around and make up 4.5. And you know what? That being said, Tampa Bay has to start losing, right? So you can see that Tampa Bay is 8-2 in their last 10, and the Yankees are 3-7. That's not going to cut it, right?
No.
And I was doing my research as far as Tampa goes, and they're the first team since the 1990 A's to sweep both the Yankees and the Red Sox. And the A's that year ended up going and taking the World Series. So I'm not trying to make any predictions, but I mean, from how it looks, it doesn't really seem that they're too shabby. I mean, sitting on 25 wins for this season so far, it's nothing to take lightly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and then moving on. I mean, you got Atlanta versus Boston. Putting a beat down on Boston 6-3. Boston, they're just dazed and confused at this point. They have no idea what's going on. They've been trying to make some big key moves as far as the trades go. I don't know if you want me to get into that or save it for later.
Well, we're gonna save that for later.
Yeah, so I mean, they have been trying to make some moves. It is too late in the season for them to make any sort of comeback. So this is basically a rebuild for them.
Yeah, they would have to win basically every single game out at this point.
Yeah, and realistically, I think we all know that that's not going to happen.
Correct.
Anything's possible, but I mean, they dug themselves a pretty deep hole. I don't think them really digging themselves out of the hole.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew kind of going into the season, I think from our first or even the second podcast when we were doing our projections, we knew Boston was going to be not great. I mean, we all knew it was supposed to be a rebuilding. I mean, I was pretty set on there. Definitely it's going to be a rebuilding. I thought they were going to do a little bit better. I know, I think all of the sports talks and even the radio shows were saying that Baltimore was, not going to basically win anything. I think I forget what they said their record was going to be. I thought Baltimore was going to be, what Boston and the position in Boston is. I mean, Baltimore isn't really much better, but they're keeping up. I mean, they're keeping their head above water.
The thing is, Boston has absolutely zero pitching.
Yeah, exactly.
And then losing Mookie Betts, that didn't help things either.
Yeah. But I mean, they still have some weapons. I mean, but I don't know. They're just not capitalizing. Their pitching is probably, that's what's killing them.
Yeah.
All right, Joey.
So I'm just going to try, brief run through. Yeah, you got the Orioles and the Blue Jays. Orioles, they ended up coming on top, this past game with 4-3. And then you have Washington, the Phillies, 6-8. Phillies taking the game. I know we were talking about, the Phillies and, where they're going to be at as far as the division goes. They do have star players on that team. They can, try to build a comeback on it. And then you have the Florida Marlins and the Mets. I mean, I was listening, Sal Licata on SNY, and he was even just being brutally honest. He's just like, you just gotta call a spade, and this is just a terrible Met team. They can't get anything together. They can't right the ship. Their trades were very anticlimactic that they ended up making. But Frank, I know that you mentioned it with how the NL East is going. It's a very tight race. It's not like, people are pulling away, with aside from Atlanta. But,
Atlanta's sitting at 12.
Game.
Atlanta's sitting here at 20-14.
Yeah.
But as we all know, the new playoff rules is you can get that second playoff spot right now in the National League East by being 500. So, I mean, the Mets are only 5 games away from that. They have, about 25 games left. I think it is possible for them to do it. It's not like they have such an uphill climb, like, for example, like Boston does. And, the Mets schedule is going to start to get easier. People don't realize, and I think we said this in the beginning when the schedules came out, that the Mets were going to have one of the hardest schedules out there. Mm-hmm. And that being said, I think the Mets have poorly performed performance-wise, and they have lost a lot of these games. But, it's not out of the realm. You look at Washington. Washington is 8 games under 500. Theirs is a little bit steeper hill. Yeah. I don't think Washington's going to be able to pull that off. And then plus, Washington has to hop 3 teams. So
that's more unlikely.
Yeah, that's more unlikely. It's more likely the Mets would maybe turn the ship around, but I don't think so. To be honest with you, I feel that the Phillies are going to take that second wild card. I mean, not wild card, but the second spot in that division.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so the moment that everybody's been waiting for. I know both of you have been chopping at the bit here. I've been trying to hold a leash on both of you, but let's talk about trade deadline. Who wants to take who? I know, Ryan, you were touching up on Cleveland. Why don't you take the big trade? What happened with Cleveland?
Yeah, so hang on one second. Let me just pull up my notes on that. Okay. So let's see. The Clevenger deal. So the deal, Padres acquire right-handed pitcher Mike Clevenger, outfield Greg Allen, and a player to be named later. So it's an undisclosed, basically it could be a prospect, it could be someone actually on the roster. While the Indians acquire right-handed pitcher Quantrill, a catcher Austin Hedges, an infielder that plays first, outfield, and also as a DH Josh Naylor, shortstop Greg Arias, an infielder Owen Miller, and a left-handed pitcher Joey Cantillo from the Padres, so they acquire from them. I mean, since Cleveland's doing pretty well, I mean, why would they give up their ace when the record's so good? A lot of things I've heard of, like, that should have been, I mean, not necessarily a trade deadline, more of an off-season trade. But I mean, like I said, the Padres are sitting pretty then.
Now, so you're saying why would Cleveland do that since their record is so good and they're trading their ace away?
I can understand why.
And I agree with you, Joe. I mean, think about it. They have this record with Clevenger on the alternate site for the last over 2 weeks. So they're winning. They're being successful without him. So maybe they think that they don't need him. Maybe they think that they have other spots that they need to fill. So, Joey, who do you think won out of this trade? Do you think San Diego got the better of it? Do you think Cleveland got the better of it? What do you think?
Okay, so I mean, the reason, let me just backtrack, really quick. So when we're talking about, do we think the initial trade that the Indians did, was a good move or not? But you also have to remember all the drama that was going on behind the scenes between Clevenger and Plasic, and them breaking the MLB COVID protocols. They have, their team was sitting in second in the standings, chomping at the bit with the with the Twins, and then when you have a guy like Clevenger going out partying, coming back late to the hotel room, and then after his series with the Tigers, he ends up going onto the team plane to head back. You just put your whole team at risk. I mean, look what happened. I mean, I said this, in the prior podcast, but I mean, like, look what ended up happening with the Marlins. I mean, their whole team, was shut down. I mean, you're going to cost yourself, games in, your standing. So that was something that really rubbed, his teammates the wrong way. And I feel that was why he was an expendable player to get rid of, because I just feel like his fellow teammates no longer wanted him on the team because of his selfish actions. So you had the Padres come in and ended up capitalizing on that. Yeah, they ended up cleaning out their a good portion of their farm system, but they didn't get rid of their top 5 guys in the farm system. So, with the whole acquisition cost, there was 9 players involved. That's a pretty hefty acquisition. So that, with the San Diego Padres willing to make that kind of trade to get an all-star like Clevenger, it goes to show you they're ready to make a run for it. They're ready to give the Dodgers a run for their money. That's what I'm saying. Don't count them out. They're ready. They're ready to swing for the fence. Sure.
So do you think that by Clevenger going over to San Diego, do you think that there could be possibly a personality issue, especially what was going on with Cleveland?
No, I don't think so.
Why do you think that?
Well, because the selfish drama ended up happening in Cleveland. It didn't happen in San Diego. So he's basically got a clean slate right now. He's got a whole new team. He's playing,
Choppy Joe.
With, different personalities. Jeez, again,
say that again.
But yeah, I got to have a talk with Verizon. This is bullshit. But yeah, I mean, but like I said, I mean, Clevenger, he's on a new team now. It's a clean slate. I think everybody's on the same page as far as just trying to win and, make it to the big stage at this point.
Yeah.
So whatever happened in Cleveland, that's in Cleveland. He's got a new team and, new expectations, bigger expectations of him now.
Yep. So since the both of you are Yankee fans, let's talk about the trades that the Yankee did. So
what trade?
Why don't we talk about that? Oh, wait. There's crickets in the background.
I'm surprised because all the injuries that the Yankees are, dealing with, even like, I don't know, like who they could have traded for something just to kind of, make it a little bit easier or, add some strength to the lineup, like with all the injuries. But I don't know. I think the Yankees definitely dropped the ball there, but it could be, it is a blessing. I mean, you're waiting for, all our current players to, heal and recover and get back to the lineup versus, kicking them to the curb and, getting other players, which, could be in the same ballpark then.
Yeah.
But I think, it sucks that the Yankees didn't do anything, but it's still probably a blessing.
They picked up a catcher, like not a big deal, but I think they picked up a catcher from Pittsburgh, but that was pretty much it. No big splash this season.
Yeah, really not much.
But, I mean, I know we're saying, like, I don't know. I kind of have to disagree. Like, I kind of feel like now more than ever, they did need to make some sort of a trade, at least for like 1, maybe 2 more guys, to add to the roster, because there's just that unknown factor that could happen. Like, look what ended up happening with Aaron Judge just recently. He just retweaked his calf muscle. So you would have, I mean, it's kind of like, counting your eggs in the basket that you got over here. Right now, you got, you have, Hicks, Judge, Stanton, they're out of the lineup. So you need, quality players to fill in that void right now. And, because they didn't make that trade, I'm kind of weary about it. I feel because you just don't know. At the end of the day, you just don't know if those guys are going to get healthy and come back to the team on time. So just having, a seasoned veteran that they could have picked up waiting in the wings, I mean, you could have used the guy as like a utility player or something like that. Just have at least like 1 or 2 guys that you could have picked up. I felt, could have just been like a nice little safety net for the team.
But what if, like, say if the Stanton and Judge weren't hurt? Would they, like, the series with currently through Tampa, and even I think it was like a week or two ago, would they have won against Tampa? It's possible with these if they had their full strength, full lineup. Would they have lost or would they have won? Would the games that they have lost would they have won with their stars back in the lineup? I mean, it's safe to assume that they probably would have performed a little bit better. But I mean, I don't know. It's just kind of thinking more devil's advocate. If these players weren't hurt, what would be the outcome?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, just from past records with Brian Cashman and not making, that big splash at the end of the trade deadline, it hasn't led to good results. I'm really hoping that that's not the case, with this season. I really hope, the Yankees could, just shake it off, right the ship and, and power through to get to the postseason. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, their standings aren't bad at all. But, I mean,
right, they're still in a good position.
Yeah, but I mean, you're hearing Chase 28 for like the past couple of years, and it's just like if that's going to happen, I mean, they need to, everyone needs to, put in their part. Luke Voigt, that guy, he stepped up to the plate. He
stepped up to the plate big time.
He's been a clutch hitter for the Yankees.
Okay. All right, so the Yankees have not made a trade in this season. And I guess I did not learn from one of my other podcasts to keep a spare battery around because my camera went off. That's why my screen was frozen, so I had to run real quick.
You.
Hey,
no, I'm still here, unfortunately. So, unlike the Yankees, the Mets made a couple acquisitions, and I think this is the Wilpons way to say, screw you, Steve Cohen. You're going to have to get rid of these freaking players. So we bring the dinosaur Todd Frazier back. We bring
the Jersey boy, Todd Frazier.
Oh yeah, Jersey boy. So, and then we bring another guy as Chirinos. Basically, he's going to be a backup catcher to Ramos. So he's 36 years old now. So he's going out there with a cane pretty soon. And then you have Miguel Castro. The Mets didn't give up much for these guys. The only thing is that they did give up a farm system starting left-handed pitcher. He has a very good record in the minor leagues. He's got a 2.62, I believe, ERA in 26 starts. And, what the hell are the Mets doing? And this guy, Miguel Castro, is not like a reliable guy that, we need to bring reliability back into the Mets bullpen here. This guy's a spotty pitcher too. So this is great. So let's get rid of a promising prospect, right? Because, we're gonna, our great pitchers that we have with Porcello and Waka, another two old farts that need to get the hell out of the Mets, right? They're going to be here for a couple more years. We're not going to need any starting pitching from our farm system. So, the Mets are just a disaster. To be honest with you, I'm so fed up with the season. I can't wait till Steve Cohen buys the team, fires Brody Van Wagenen, so I don't have to hear the Wilpons names anymore. They were better off not making any trades, to be honest with you. I mean, why the hell we need Todd Frazier? I mean, we have already an abundance of infielders. Why the hell I need Todd Frazier? I'd rather see Jimenez play every day than Todd Frazier. And then what? He's a bullpen. He's a clubhouse guy. Is that why they brought him in? Oh, because he's gonna break out the salt and pepper shaker, and he's gonna cook. He's gonna salt and pepper the Mets up before they get cooked. So
they're gooses.
Yeah, it's just it's embarrassing, to be honest with you. So that's my seriously butthurt moment for all those that don't know.
Seriously butthurt moment.
Yeah. So
guys, I don't know why they're still holding on to that guy. I know you have Rojas. He's a fan of Diaz. Man, I would just cut my losses and get rid of that guy. I don't think he's doing.
I think last year they had an option to send him down, and he can work on his game down in the minor leagues. This guy should not be put in a closer role. But that being said, who are you going to put in a closer role now? I mean, you brought Seth Lugo out to the starting rotation, and now you don't have a reliable arm in that bullpen. You got Patan Shits. You have
going to throw over the catcher's head.
Yeah, and then
lose more games.
Don't even get me started on that because Ryan, you're a catcher. I'm a catcher also. Ramos is horrendous. I mean, no one's worse than Gary Sanchez defensively, but Ramos is pretty damn bad. I mean, Ramos is so lazy. I mean, and to give him credit, the Mets pitching is not helping him out either, but so lazy. I
Right.
mean, it's so frustrating watching these guys play. I mean, you know,
Right.
and then you have a guy like Real Muto on the Phillies that is outstanding defensively, outstanding offensively. I mean, the guy gets down there. You know, those watching, those who are listening, if you're a catcher and you're in the Pee Wees or whatever level of baseball that you're at, do not follow Gary Sanchez. Do not follow Ramos. The guy who you want to follow is Real Muto. That guy has the fundamentals. He has the heart. That's the guy that you want to learn from. That's the guy that you should strive to be. Him and Mike
Yeah.
Piazza.
Well, yeah. I was like, you want to be like the Jorge Posadas, you want to be like the Pudge Rodriguez, like those
Yeah.
catchers are the ones that you want to strive to be. More the defensive catchers, the brick wall behind the plate.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, I know it's a tall order, but I mean, like, I know, Frank, I know you're a big Piazza guy. Trying to find another Piazza behind the plate, that's going to be tough.
I don't even want a Piazza. I mean, Piazza was terrific offensively. I mean, the guy is my favorite baseball player at all. I just want someone who's halfway decent. You know, I'm not looking for like this crazy guy. I want a guy who's defensively capable behind the plate. I want a guy who's not going to rip the cover off the ball, that will poke it into, singles left and right. I don't need a home run hitter. I think that's what everybody kind of strives for. And then you have those catchers out there. But the catching is I want like a Jorge Posada. I'm okay with that. Not a Hall of Famer, solid defensive, solid catcher in the back. That's who I want. Yep. So
But I think, sorry, one more point. I don't think Gary Sanchez has really had any major errors defensively this year. Nothing that really comes to mind.
His defense is getting better, I have to say,
Yeah.
but his offense has struggled a little bit this year, wouldn't you say?
I agree.
Well, he hit the grand slam, this past weekend. So, I mean, give him a little round of applause for that. I mean,
so you hit a grand slam, it just erases everything else for the rest of the season?
No, it doesn't. I mean, it's showing that there's some room for improvement.
But the guy's not a rookie anymore.
Right.
I know, but I mean,
when is the guy going to be, when is he going to start being consistent?
Well,
you can't have like 10. I forget what his strikeouts were, but I know he had multiple strikeouts in a row.
I don't want to be negative Nancy, just like bashing on every single player here, but
no, and I totally get it, but I mean, you got to understand, rookie or seasoned veteran. I mean, slumps happen. Some slumps end up lasting longer than others. For me, I feel like he's starting to get his footing. He's trying to come back. Defensively, it just bothers me when he does his little lean on one knee bullshit, and then a ball goes right past him. It's
that's
almost,
exactly what Ramos does too. They're both lazy really behind the plate.
That really irks me.
Yep. So, any final trades you guys want to go over, or?
I like the. Oh, sorry. After you, Joe.
Just real quick, man. So I'm just going to touch on some of the trades that were going on with Boston. So they ended up sending Mitch Moreland to the Padres for Hudson Potts and Jason Rosario. And they ended up getting rid of outfielder Kevin Pillar to the Rockies for cash and a player to be named. And Josh Osich, the relief pitcher, he's gone to the Cubs for another player to be named.
So Boston is doing a fire sale.
They're doing a fire sale.
They're going to start rebuilding, which they should have done starting last year, I think.
Better late than never, I guess.
I guess so. You know what? I sense a lot of fire sales coming up.
Looking forward to see what Steve Cohen does. I'm not going to lie.
I think the
firing better go on after he takes over. That's all I got to say.
Another trade winner. I think the Blue Jays made out pretty well.
Yes.
They weren't as dramatic as the Clevenger deal, but I think they were still pretty good. But I feel like the Blue Jays, they addressed some weaknesses in their rotation with Tajon Walker, Robbie Ray, and a late trade for Ross Stripling. Stripling, yeah. And they brought infield depth with Jonathan Villar. Villar's versatility means there'll be ways to get him into the lineup. So I think overall, the Blue Jays, I think, had a pretty good trade. They addressed what some of their weaknesses were and kind of capitalized on it.
And Villar being prior to the National League East, I got to see him a lot this year. Very good player. I thought he was the best player on the Marlins. And,
right.
Hats off to the Blue Jays. I think they got a really good player. I just don't know when Marlins are going to start putting big names back onto the roster and really start turning that team around. I think they're overperforming, and that might actually hurt them. And they might think that they can do this with this current team, which I do not think they can.
Right. I agree.
Yep. So, all right, let's go around the horn. Let's do some final thoughts, Joey. What do you say?
No, I'm just looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season is going to end up playing out. It's going to be very interesting. You got, some tight races within, a few of the divisions. And, I'm really hoping that my Yankees end up getting healthy, show up to play, and start getting ready for that postseason baseball.
All right, Ryan?
I think the biggest winner in the deadline was the fans. I think it was very exciting. There were lots going on. I mean, even in our earlier podcast, we predicted that there probably wasn't going to be much going on in the trade deadline, no trades or anything like that. It was basically just over the weekend is when you really started hearing all these trades. If you see like on Twitter, everyone reporting that this guy's going here, we're getting this guy and everything like that. So I think the fans, it was definitely a good treat for the fans, even though it said again, screwed out of a full season and everything like that. But this was definitely pretty exciting. I definitely enjoyed, listening to all the radio shows and just hearing about these trades because they were pretty exciting.
Yeah, it was a nice surprise, I think,
Definitely.
So, all right, guys. So we have a special card episode that we did with Mike the Card Hunter that dropped last week. If those of you who don't know anything about cards and trading them and stuff like that, I think that's a very exciting episode. I did not know anything prior to that interview with Mike, and I have to say I learned a lot, and it got me very excited, and I think it will to all you listeners out there. We also have the hockey podcast with Ralph and Zach that is going on as the playoffs are going with the hockey, and as hockey starts getting closer and closer to the finals. And unfortunately, next week we are not going to record on Tuesday night, because that weekend we are going to my bachelor party, and we are going to have a special episode to you, making it up the following week. And I think that may be, the best podcast we'll probably ever do, or at least the best background I think we'll ever do as a sneak.
I think it'll be pretty cool.
So stay tuned.
Definitely the most memorable.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. So, like I said, we'll make it up to you.
And another thing, that one's probably gonna be like the first time where a good bunch of us are in person with one another.
Very true. Very true. A lot of the people that have shown up on this podcast will be at that party. So
Anthony, Nick, yeah, it's gonna be a fun one.
Yeah, absolutely. So, with that being said, we're gonna sign off. I thank everybody for listening. If you haven't, please like our Facebook page. We are on Instagram.
Smash that like button.
There you go, Ryan. Smash it. All right. Listen to us on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it. We're probably on it. And with that being said, take care, guys. We'll see you soon.